What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now this week we had our very first 10 out of 10 Cleric, and we are going to be covering that in a build today with the Peace Domain Cleric. So if you are excited to see just how to build a 10 out of 10 Cleric, then go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so please help us to reach our goal of 1,000. I mean, we are getting close to the end of this month, but I really think we could still do it, but I need your help to get there. And then, of course, make sure that you click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded, and share the video with your friends. The Peace Cleric is a really fun way to enhance the Cleric, and it does it in such an amazing way. The Emboldening Bond feature, especially taking charge and really just making the Cleric even more effective at being that supportive character. So today is a full support build. We are not worried about how much damage we can do. We're not worried about anything like that. Today is just how much can we support and just how effective can we be in keeping our allies alive. And I really think with this build today, I think you're going to have a really great time with that. So let's go ahead and jump in. For our race, I wanted to do something a little different with this build. You know, I was looking at, of course, custom lineage, very human, the normals, but I wanted to go something a little different with this build. And honestly, I was looking at it and I really don't need many, if any, feats for this build. I think I get pretty much everything I need for the kit within itself, so I really don't need to go elsewhere for it. So I want to pick a really cool race because I think that can really make a flavorful character. And also this week, the new MOM, of course, Monsters of the Multiverse book dropped. And so I started to look through that and started to see if there were any races that were really compatible with this. And one really stuck out to me. And once I read its description, I just couldn't in good conscience choose anything else. And so that's what we went with. This is going to be a Hobgoblin build. I have been really excited since I heard the Unearthed Arcana on this, and I think it is really cool. It's really flavorful. They've completely changed the lore of the Hobgoblin though, and so I want to know down below what you think of the changes. I'm gonna have a poll going up tomorrow actually about this, and so you can let me know in that poll or in the comments of this video, either way, what you think of the changes to this race. There are a lot of changes. They've taken away basically its defining feature and then given it some others, and so it's basically a brand new race. And so I want to know what your thoughts are, but let's take a look at what it does in the new book. So we of course get a 30-foot walking speed, nothing changed there. Dark vision, that's still there. We do pick up Fey ancestry, which is nice. Typically we probably aren't going to be the main target of a charm effect, but if we do get targeted, great, we have advantage on that save to, you know, resist or break out. That's great, right? You definitely don't want your healer taken out of the fight, because then your frontliners are just going to fall apart. So that's nice to have. It makes you a lot more reliable for your party. We also get Fey Gift, which is brand new to the Hobgoblin race, and honestly, this is one of the main reasons why I chose this race. It's really cool and really strong. It allows us to use the help action as a bonus action, which is awesome, right? The help action is cool because I really like using actions that are other than just the I attack, just the I cast a spell, right? You've got shove, you've got grapple, you've got help, you've got all these others that get used so few times, at least, you know, you don't really think about it, right? Your main objective is normally to do these other things, and help is normally something that's reserved for outside of combat. This makes it to where you can use it inside of combat very effectively, and if that wasn't just it, it might be a little underwhelming. But it takes it a step further. We buff this help action. Not only this one, but also if we use help as an action. So again, it's making it much more compelling to use this as your action or bonus action, whichever one you want. You get to choose 3 options once you get to level 3. And so the first is going to be Hospitality, which allows you to give some temporary HP equal to 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus. You can choose Passage, which adds 10 feet to your move speed, yours and whoever you are helping.
Same thing with the temporary HP, you and whoever you help. And then finally, Spite. Spite allows you to, of course, use the help action on your friend, and whenever you or your friend hits a creature with an attack the next time, that creature will have disadvantage on the next attack roll that it makes within the next minute. That's really great, right? You go up to your squishy wizard or your squishy sorcerer, whoever it is that is standing there about to get hit, and you use the help action on them, either as an action or bonus action, either way. This not only gives them advantage on their next attack that they make, which can be very, very useful if they use a spell that is an attack roll or whatever the situation might be, but then you used it as a bonus action, you turn around and hit them with a cantrip or something, and then then there you go. The next attack that is made against your friend most likely is going to be made at disadvantage, which could end up saving their life. That's very Cleric to me, right? Being able to make sure that your friends do not get hit. I think that's fantastic, and I love that feature for a Peace Cleric. It's fantastic. Then on top of that, we also get Fortune of the Many, and this basically allows you to add up to 3, depending on how many allies you can see, to any D20 roll if you fail the ability check, the saving throw, or the attack roll. This is especially nice on a Peace Cleric because we want people to be close to us because of Emboldening Bond, right? Obviously, you're going to get a little more mileage as long as you have at least a total party size of 4. But, you know, typically 4 is going to be plenty. 4 is going to be about the normal size of people. If you have a smaller party, you won't get as much mileage. But, I mean, a bonus of 3 just at the cost of a reaction, proficiency bonus times per day, that's nice. I really like that, and I think that it's absolutely worth using. There's so much going on for this race, and it is all really, really great. As far as stats go, we're going to go very standard here. We're going to go with a 17 in Wisdom, 15 Constitution, 13 Dexterity, 12 Charisma, 10 Strength, and 8 Intelligence. Of course, this is our modified standard array that we use here on this channel. If you are using point buy or regular standard array, you're just going to want to prioritize your stats in this order. And honestly, you really don't need to prioritize anything Charisma, Strength, or Intelligence based. We're not using them, and you can definitely prioritize Dexterity much less. You don't need it to be a 13, but I'm trying to do that for armor class and for initiative sake. But that is your third most important stat. The most important one is going to be Wisdom, and then followed by Constitution. So point buy, you could probably take 2 16s there if you wanted to, or a 16 and a 15, whatever you want to do. And then we can go from there. So for our racial bonuses, though, we get a +2 to one stat and a +1 to another. We're going to put our +2 into Wisdom and our +1 into our Constitution. No shocker there, for a 19 and a 16 respectively. For our equipment, this is where we might deviate from what you expected. I'm going to actually take light armor for now. And so you're probably like, why? Why would you take light armor? Why are you taking leather armor? The reason I'm taking leather armor is because of some multi-classing we're getting ready to do, and this opens up an interesting discussion that I want to see down in the comments below. We talked about this somewhat briefly in my Life Cleric video, which will be up in the iCard above right there for you, but we are going to be dipping into Druid at some point during this build. It is said that Druids will not wear metal armor or use metal shields. They can use metal weapons and tools and that sort of thing. That's not a problem. The interesting thing, and I read this on Reddit the other day, was that they are simply not proficient with those weapons. That's not the way that I personally read it, but I read that they are not proficient, meaning that if you are multi-classed, then technically you could wear metal. I tend to not rule it that way, but I'd love to know what you think down in the comments below. If something is multi-classed, if a druid is multi-classed with something that is proficient in armor that is metal, can they wear it? I personally don't think so, but I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Maybe I'm being a little too strict. But anyway, let's take some leather armor, a wooden shield, and then a holy symbol or something of that nature. We're not going to worry about taking a weapon. We're going to always keep that hand free because we're going to be casting spells, and we don't really need to hold anything else. So yeah, I'm not focused on weapon damage at all. Don't even bring one. That's pretty much it. Let's start taking some levels then, and at level 1 we are starting with Cleric. I know, very surprising for me, starting with the class that this is built around, but we're going to start Cleric, and honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and give a slight spoiler to the honorable mentions. Honestly, if you're really wanting to build the strongest version of this subclass, just go 20 levels of Cleric. Multiclassing probably is not your most optimal way to do it. I wanted to crank up the ability to support my party in certain ways and to keep myself up, and so that's why I did the multiclassing. But honestly, if you want to just go as fast as you can through these features and pick up that level 17 feature as fast as possible, if you're even going that far, then more power to you. I totally understand that. But in this one, we are going to be multiclassing a little bit, and we are going to be missing out on that 17th level feature actually. But we will talk about that at the very end in the honorable mentions section, and I think that you will understand kind of why once I get there. So at Cleric 1, we get a couple of things. We get our spellcasting and our Implement of Peace and our Emboldening Bond. Of course, if you haven't watched my video on the ranking of this subclass, that'll be up in the icon above right there for you to check out. That is where we go into a lot more detail on what each of these features do. But basically, spellcasting, very standard. We get to cast a bunch of spells. We'll talk about that here in a second. We get our Implement of Peace, which is, whatever. We get a skill proficiency. And then we get our Emboldening Bond, which is our big deal, being able to bond people together. Right now, we only have 2 people because that is our proficiency bonus, but that will scale as we go, and it's regardless of our multiclassing. It scales with our proficiency bonus, which is really, really nice. As far as spells go, as far as the cantrips, Sacred Flame, Spare the Dying, Thaumaturgy, Toll the Dead, just the standards really. Pick your favorites there. There's not a huge amount of strategy that goes into this. Just pick what you want. That's pretty much it. As far as first level spells, we get Heroism and Sanctuary for free, and then you can pick up things like Bless, which does stack with your Emboldening Bond, in case you're wondering. Cure Wounds, Healing Word, Sanctuary, Shield of Faith are all really, really good spells. The standard Cleric stuff, why not, right? We're going very standard Cleric. Choose the standard Cleric spells. At level 2, we're already multiclassing into Druid. So something already, I would say that if you're already multiclassing at level 2, it's something that was already there before. There's probably not really a great story reason as to why you deviated into Druid, at least like within the confines of the campaign. This is something that was probably stirring within you already. And so for some reason, you find peace and you find the ability to help your friends in just a peaceful night sky, right? Being able to just look up and gaze at the majesty above, that is where you find your peace. And that is how you draw on your power in order to keep your friends alive. So we're taking a level in Druid now. And so we get Druidic, which is basically the secret language of Druids. So they can draw on like sticks and leaves and whatever else they want to, and make a secret message. Pretty cool. We also get spell casting specific to Druids. One thing that's cool is we're only doing Cleric and Druid with this, so we're not actually going to be slowing down our spell slot progression. We will have 9th level spell slots, we just will not have 9th level spells. So again, feel free to upcast any of these powerful spells as we go. You're going to have the slots for it just as if you were full in one or the other. So really, really cool there. As far as our cantrips go here, Druidcraft, Mending, Thorn Whip, those are all really nice options. Obviously, Thorn Whip is a lot more optional. Normally, whenever we go Druid, I say take Shillelagh. There's no reason to here because we don't have a weapon, so who cares? No, don't take it. But you've got Druidcraft, which is basically another slightly different version of Thaumaturgy. Mending can be a really nice spell. It's just fixing things here and there that are broken. You never know. And then first level spells, we can pick up Absorb Elements already, which is a really good defensive spell, being able to deal a little bit of extra damage back. Kind of, it's definitely there more for the defensive reasons than the offensive reasons, just like everything else. Detect Magic, Fairy Fire is also a really good one to take, and then Good Berry. Fairy Fire is never a bad one to grab, and being able to grab it here from the Druid list is always great. And then of course Goodberry, being able to give food to everybody, why not, right? It's amazing. Then we're going to go to Druid 2. We're actually going to go ahead and start picking up our subclass for Druid, so we're getting both as quickly as we possibly can. We get Wild Shape, which we're probably not going to use Wild Shape in its normal form very often. We're not taking enough levels for this to be like incredibly insane. We're taking enough to where you might want to use it, but we're probably going to use our specific form for the subclass we're choosing more so. But for those of you who don't know, Wild Shape allows you to turn into a beast, and we are restricted right now as far as the maximum CR that we can go, and we also cannot have a swimming or flying speed currently, but we could eventually if we go high enough level into Druid. Of course, we've not covered Druids yet on this channel, but we are going to soon. That is the very next thing after we get through all of these Clerics. I think we have 4 more Clerics, and then we will get to Druid. So looking forward to that, but we gotta get through all these first. So we get that. We cannot cast spells while we were in Wild Shape. We cannot. We can still concentrate on spells, which is really good because we are going to be concentrating on a spell. Most likely, the spell we're doing right now is Bless or Fairy Fire. Just depends on the situation. Whatever comes up for you. But we also get to choose our subclass here, our Druidic Circle, and we are choosing Circle of Stars Druid. And this is a fantastic subclass of Druid for the support and healer mode, and works really well with the Peace Cleric. So we get a star map, which is really cool, and it allows us to cast the Guidance cantrip. And this is why I didn't mention it earlier. And we also get to cast Guiding Bolt a few times per day, which is another reason why I didn't mention it on the Cleric list, is that's where we normally would pick that up. So really cool, really good pickups there. Those are both fantastic spells. But even more importantly, we get Starry Form, and this gives us an alternate use of our Wild Shape. And this is pretty much exclusively what we are going to be using for our Wild Shape. And we get to choose up of 3 different constellations. There are 3 you can choose from. There is the Archer, there is the Chalice, and there's the Dragon. And each of those give you a really nice bonus when you are in that form. We're probably not going to use the Archer all that much. It's more there for damage, and honestly, I'm not that focused on using it. It's whatever. However, Dragon and Chalice are both nice. Chalice, of course, helping with healing, and Dragon helping us with maintaining concentration, and those are both really, really great. Those are fantastic features that can definitely save your spells and your life and your friends' lives as well. So really, really cool. We also then are going to go back to Cleric. So we've gone Cleric 1, Druid 1 and 2, and we're back to Cleric 2 here for level 4. We're just all over the place. You could actually technically chalk this up to being a like Stars Cleric if you wanted to, like, say it's a custom subclass or custom whatever. If you wanted to, you know, it's cool. It's really neat. So we go ahead and pick up our Channel Divinity here at level 4, and we get, of course, Balm of Peace. These are the butt slaps that we talked about. It's a good game where you run around and heal people as you just decide to sprint around the battlefield, which is really cool. Of course, you also could choose Turn Undead or Harness Divine Power. Harness Divine Power, of course, makes a really good case for itself as far as being able to gain spell slots back. Always a good thing. And then at Cleric 3, we don't get any features, but we do get 2nd level Cleric spells. We pick up Aid and Warding Bond for free. Great pickups there. And then, of course, I would also pick up Lesser Restoration and Prayer of Healing. At Cleric 4, we get an ASI or a feat, and honestly, I'm not like dying to get a feat here. I think I'm okay, and so I'm gonna get a lot more mileage out of just maxing out my wisdom and bumping my dexterity in this case, because bumping constitution wouldn't make a difference. Of course, if your stats are looking different than mine, then of course just you'll have to adjust accordingly. But for this array, we're going with +1 wisdom and +1 dexterity, giving us a 20 and a 14 respectively, which is nice. So that's going to bump our AC by 1, and it's going to bump our initiative by 1 as well. And you know, like we talked about in the Life Domain Cleric video, when you are a druid and you have the restriction of no metal, one thing that I would do is when you're going around fighting things, look for creatures that have like thick hides and maybe shells that could possibly be made into armor. Maybe you have to get someone to craft it, and of course this is dipping into homebrew territory, but you know, you fight an Umber Hulk eventually, you know, you're like, okay, like this thing's got a really hard shell. This could work really well for armor. Or, you know, way later, a Purple Worm, you know, I would argue like Purple Worm, that's probably about like full plate armor by that point. Umber Hulk probably like half plate. But you know, you could make that argument for making armor out of things in nature, and I really think that would help you out a lot as far as your AC goes. At which point, you know, if it's considered heavy armor, you can't really do it. So you're going to just want to pick something that's the best medium armor that you can do with the current circumstances. At Cleric 5, we get Destroy Undead up to a CR 1/2. So if we use our Turn Undead and they are CR 1/2 or lower, they are gone. Goodbye. We also get 3rd level Cleric spells. We get Beacon of Hope and Sending for free. Beacon of Hope's nice. Sending is, of course, you know, how you harass NPCs that you haven't seen for 3 months. You also get Dispel Magic, Mass Healing Word, and Revivify. All really, really great options there, just the top 3. Cleric 6, we get our Channel Divinity 2 times per short rest now, which is great. 2 butt slaps for the price of 1. And then, of course, we get Protective Bond. Protective Bond is an amazing feature, allowing us to teleport around when you are bonded with a creature in order to take an attack on their behalf. This is huge for your squishy members who can't take a big hit. Being able to just teleport over, especially if you have a barbarian who is resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. You know, I mean, 90% of the damage you're going to be taking is bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. The barbarian is going to happily jump over and take that, and then the barbarian is in the face of whatever it needs to be and can just start raging and just murdering this thing. So it's really great, really fantastic feature. Honestly, game changing. It's so good. Now we're going to head back to Druid. I want to pick some things back up in Druid, and I know that what you're thinking, like, why not just stop at Druid 2? You know, you got your star form, you got all this stuff, why go back to Druid? Honestly, I really think that there's some things in Druid that we can really make use of, and I think it'll make us even better as a support character. And like I said, we're kind of considering this a custom subclass if you wanted to go that route, like a Stars Cleric kind of. And so I think it's cool. I think it's really neat. So we're going to go back to Druid here. We don't get any features at Druid 3, but we get 2nd level Druid spells. And if you haven't found a really good use for your armor yet, Bark Skin might not be a bad spell for you to pick up. This does help your AC. And you could just take off your armor at that point if you wanted to use Bark Skin instead. Personally, I'd probably just wear the armor, but that's just me. You know, whatever you want to do. Enhanceability, Enlarge, Reduce, and Pass Without Trace are all also really good options to bring here. At Druid 4, we get a Wild Shape improvement, so we now can swim, and our CR goes up to 1/2. This doesn't affect your Starry form, unfortunately, but it does, of course, boost the normal version. And then, of course, we can take an ASI or a feat. I'm just going to take a +2 to Constitution, getting us up to an 18. Just boosting that up as fast as I possibly can is really the next strategy. Once I max out my Wisdom, I'm going Constitution, and that's my focus. So it's pretty simple on this build what to do with stats. Then Druid 5. Yeah, we're going pretty deep into this. We don't get any features, but we do get 3rd level spells. Do not come after me about Conjure Animals, because I'm not going to lay out how you can do over 100 damage in a turn with Conjure Animals, because you definitely can. If you want to see something like that, let me know for Shepherd Druid whenever we get there. But my goodness, I'm not even considering the damage that Conjure Animals can do, because it's ridiculous. Erupting Earth is also a really reliable spell to take here as well as a Druid. At Druid 6, this is our final level of Druid, but I wanted to get to this level 6. Of course, we're now level 12. You know, these levels have gone by so fast, right? We've gotten to level 12 now, and we take Druid 6, which gives us Cosmic Omen. Cosmic Omen is a really cool ability that allows you to add a d6 on a failed roll that your one of your friends makes. The reason this is so cool is because with the combination of Emboldening Bond, which again you're going to be in range for this feature for the Cosmic Omen because you have Emboldening Bond, so that's just going to keep you honest there. And you can have Bless on something. And you can have this. So, you know, you've got somebody adding 2d4 plus 1d6 to attack rolls and saving throws, and then to ability checks, you've just got 1d4 plus 1d6 on your reaction. That's still really good, honestly. You know, that's up to a bonus of 10 or 14 respectively, and that's really powerful, right? That's on top of whatever bonus they already have. That's on top of whatever else is going on in the fight. And that can be game changing if you really need an attack to stick, if you really need them to keep that saving throw, if they're about to be banished or something like that, and you really need them to not get banished. This can help them pass that save. And honestly, like mathematically speaking, I feel like it's so game changing to have all of those bonuses. It's just really hard to not take those 6 levels in Druid, because you can also get so many other things from the Druid class. It's just awesome, because it's going to be really hard for your concentration to be broken, and your healing is going to be really nice depending on which form you choose. There's just so much to love about the Stars Druid on this build, and I just love it. I think it's great. So now we're going to go back to Cleric, and we're going to stay there the rest of the way. Cleric 7, we do get Aura of Purity and Odaluk's Resilient Sphere for free. Odaluk's Resilient Sphere is a great bring. It's really awesome. We don't get any features, but these spells are nice, of course. Banishment and Freedom of Movement are also really good spells to possibly pick up there from that list. At Cleric 8, we get several things. Of course, an ASI or feat. I'm keeping trucking with boosting my Constitution here, so now it is also at a 20, which is great. Destroy Undead goes up to a CR1 now, finally. Hopefully you haven't been fighting too many undead that you've been missing out on that. And then you also get Potent Spell Casting here, so now your cantrips do some extra damage as well, equal to your maxed out Wisdom modifier. At Cleric 9, we don't get any features again, but we do get 5th level spells here, and so we get Greater Restoration and Rary's Telepathic Bond. I do hate that we've had to put these spells off for so long, because Greater Restoration is such an amazing spell. But I really think all the other support options are there and are really, really nice. You could, of course, put off the Druid levels until later, but I really, really like this, and I think that it's something that is definitely worth grabbing as soon as you can, and unfortunately it's just been really late. We also can pick up things like Mass Cure Wounds and Raise Dead at this level as well, really good 5th level spells. At Cleric 10, we get Divine Intervention. Whatever, and like I've said, if you haven't watched my full Cleric guide, that'll be up in the icon above right there for you. That goes into detail about all the generic Cleric features. There's a lot to that, especially this Divine Intervention feature. I have some words about it, but you'll see it in that video instead. At Cleric 11, you get your Destroy Undead up to a CR2, which is cool. 6th level spells, Harm and Heal are my top 2. There are a few others that are okay, but Harm and Heal are my 2 favorites. Cleric 12, we maxed out our Wisdom, we maxed out our Constitution. If you haven't done that in your game, then possibly keep working at it. For me, I'm gonna take the tough feat here. It wasn't really an emergency up at this point, and it's still not an emergency now. But boosting dexterity is only going to marginally help us, because we've probably found some really good armor by this point. We probably have like some kind of like dragon scale armor, or we've made something custom, or whatever it is. So I'm not really worried about the AC anymore. So I'm also not worried about our dexterity going up any. So I'm just gonna take the tough feat and just make myself even harder to kill. Why not, right? I think it's fantastic. And then at Cleric 13, we don't get any features, but we do get 7th level spells. So Firestorm, Regenerate, Resurrection, all really great. And remember, you can upcast these to 9th level at this point as well. That's level 19. Level 20, we could take Cleric 14, but we're not going to. I lied earlier, and we're going to take Druid 7, and so we're taking 13 in Cleric and 7 in Druid. The reason is because I wanted Polymorph, and Polymorph is right here at Druid 7, and I didn't want to give it up. But we also get things like Blight, Dominate Beast, Fire Shield, Locate Creature, Wall of Fire. So many good Druid spells here at Druid 7, and so that feels like a worthy capstone to me, way more than Cleric 14. So that is our build for the day. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this build. I think this is a fun build. I think it's really, really cool. I think it's flavorful. The idea of a stars cleric, I think is really cool, that you worship the heavens above. You don't really know what the deity is, and so I think there's a huge story that could be told there that your DM could really, you and your DM could talk about and really sink your teeth into. I think that's really cool. For our honorable mentions, let's go through these. 2 of these are kind of cop-outs, but not really. The first one is just taking a lot less druid. I normally don't say this as far as taking less of multi-classing, but we took 7 levels. That's a pretty deep multi-class. You could just take 2 levels and just get the star map and the starry form and then dip, right? You don't necessarily have to stay around. You don't get more uses of your starry form. You don't get any like extra crazy additional stuff. We're really there for the higher level spells, and we're really there for the extra D6 that we can add to everybody, which is really, really cool as well. And so, then you would also get the buffed feature at level 17 of being able to give resistance to every creature that teleports around, and it goes out to 60 feet. That is a huge buff, but to me though, it's like, it's hard because you only get that for, 4 levels, 17, 18, 19, 20, if you're going that high, rather than if you go ahead and take that bonus at Druid 6, you're going to get that for a lot longer. You're going to get so much more mileage out of it, in my opinion. So I think it's more worth it to go that way, but I definitely see the argument. The second option, again, like what I was saying before, is just no multi-classing at all. I think you're really at your strongest here by taking no multi-classing at all. I think this is an amazing subclass just on its own. As far as if you're going for just the most powerful thing you can be, probably just don't multi-class. That's just me. I think that's probably a really good option. And finally, an off-the-wall pick that's probably not great, but could, is the Artificer, actually, and taking the Alchemist Artificer. And this would be the time where I would actually be a much more selfless Artificer than the selfish one that we normally do for our builds. I would pick Enhanced Weapon and give that to somebody else. Take Enhanced Defense and give that to somebody else. Enhanced Spellcasting Focus and give that to somebody else. And let them be the ones that really feel the benefits from all of your magical infusions. And I think that could be really cool, right? You are the giving type. You're there for peace. You're there to help all of your friends. And so I think it could be cool. The Alchemist, of course, gets the experimental elixirs that could end up giving some really, really cool buffs. But it is random, so, it's a little unreliable as far as that goes. But could lead to some really cool things. And so, the Alchemist Artificer could be cool. As far as alternate races go, I was so dead set on the Hobgoblin. But Firbolg is actually still a good option, either new or old. It did get changed also in Monsters of the Multiverse. It's not a terribly large change, really. So either version would be totally fine. And then as far as feats go, I have 3. Number 1, Warcaster, of course. For this build, we really didn't need it because we had a free hand, so we're not really worried about the somatic components. Being able to cast a spell as a opportunity attack would have been really good since we don't have a weapon in our hand. So that's nice, and of course the bonus to concentration checks, but we shored that up with the Stars Druid, so it's not super necessary, right? So it's good, but we've kind of given our biggest buff that we get from that, we've fixed by other means. There's another one here, Inspiring Leader. The big thing with this one is that you want to make sure that you don't use this and then immediately cancel it out with your help action. That's the only thing, because your help action can give temporary HP, and of course temporary HP does not stack. It always just cancels itself out. So you've got to be really careful with that. But it gives you more reason to use the other 2 options for your help action, whatever you want to do. And finally, one that I really thought would be cool is actually Gift of the Metallic Dragon. Gift of the Metallic Dragon is a new one for Fizzbands, and it's really cool. So it gives you the Cure Wounds spell for free, which is really good, and you get the Protective Wings feature, which allows you to add a bonus to your AC or to a friend that's right near you. I don't know what's more Cleric than that, but it's fantastic, and I think that it's an amazing feature to have on a Cleric, especially a Peace Cleric, being able to just block damage possibly. It's great. I think that that's an amazing feat that would work so well on this build. So that's all I got for you today. Next week, of course, we are talking about the Tempest Domain Clerics. We're going to get a lot more angry as we talk about the storm brewing inside. If you're excited to talk about that, of course, make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss that. And until next time, I hope you stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.